trading session, European markets close to those 5-year highs. David Costa is Dean at Robert Kennedy College and joins us now from Zurich. David, always great to speak with you. Let's touch on the German elections because this obviously is the biggest event going into next week. Now, you think that a re-election of Angela Merkel will be positive for the markets, though. Does that depend on what coalition she will partner with?
Good morning, Caroline. No, I don't think the coalition plays a lot of importance for the market. What we have on the market side, on the investor side, is that there are a lot of expectation to see some bold moves after the election from Germany, and I think we're going to be disappointed. The key word here is really continuity, and what we're going to see is pretty much a continuation of the policy which are already in place, whether the coalition will be a grand coalition or just a coalition with the other major party. So I don't think that will make a lot of difference, and actually, either way, there wouldn't be major changes for the European agenda or European investors. However, for the markets, having this continuity now that the crisis is over, I think is undoubtedly a positive sign.
I mean, David, yes, we've seen those record highs for the DAX over the previous sessions, and really it seems as though the German equity markets is not run by this uncertainty around the German elections, but really by what's happening with regards to tapering, corporate health, and that is looking very, very positive.
Yes, indeed. I mean, the situation in Europe, the crisis was pretty much a crisis of confidence. And now we have seen record inflows since more than 30 years from the US, for example, which confirms that now, given the all-time highs in the States, money is looking to be in Europe and to stay here. So unless we see some major disruption here, the confidence is bound to remain on this market. So the agenda in terms of post-election is still going to be for Europe a slow recovery, because the idea of Germany is really to stay on course on fiscal austerity and low inflation. So Germany will certainly resist the pressure from the US and some European economies to try to implement more measures to increase spending and so on. So they're going to be really stay on course, and that's the key here. And that is not negative for the market, because the market has already shrugged off many of the fears about Europe, because now the crisis is pretty much over, the confidence is back, and that is what matters for markets.
David, you could also argue that after the elections, and if Merkel has her preferred coalition with the Liberals, she'll have more flexibility to respond to some of the weaknesses that we're still seeing in Europe. So maybe she could ease up on austerity. Do you think that the peripheral countries could actually bank on that, or do you think that'll only happen at the margins?
Well, that could happen. I mean, the coalition is really much to be seen. That is one of the big uncertainty here. For example, the anti-Euro party, we don't know yet if they will cross that 5% to allow them to have a seat on the parliament. So depending on what type of coalition, but in any case, I think the new government, not having an election on the way, will give them more flexibility not to have to worry on the electorate. That said, I still think that the public in Germany, and also pretty much all politicians, agree on the fact that austerity has to be the way out of this, and that there cannot be a sort of debt mutualization like in the case of Eurobonds, which, by the way, would require a change in the German constitution. So we're not going to see anything like that, but we are going to probably see some help for periphery if the coalition is in one side or the other. So some little help will be there, but I don't even think is much needed now. The problems that Euro has are more about the big divide which still remains between the north and the south of Europe.
Okay, David, thank you so much for your thoughts this morning. David Costa, Dean at Robert Kennedy College, joining us from Zurich. And let's get out to Annette Weisbach.